When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. And what is this a podcast of? Of happiness and wellness, great stories, amazing people. And today we definitely have a holiday treat. Our guest is Jamie-Lynn Sigler. And for those who don't know, Jamie-Lynn has been acting and singing since the age of 7. She is best known for her role as Meadow Soprano on the HBO television series The Sopranos. Jamie-Lynn has gone through a lot, living with relapsing and remitting multiple sclerosis, and has come out on the other side with a few pieces of wisdom, reflecting on her own MS journey. Jamie-Lynn now has a lot of gratitude for her condition and a lot more confidence to speak up. In fact, reaching out for help was critical. This year, her 10-year-old son, Belle, battled his own health crisis, being diagnosed with acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, a rare autoimmune disease that causes inflammation in the brain and spinal cord in children. Ahead of this holiday season, my gift to all my listeners is this interview with Jamie-Lynn to reflect on what she learned this year and what she hopes to bring to everyone in 2025. And with that being said, Jamie, how are you doing?
I am great now. What a lovely introduction. Thank you.
I practiced with my wife before this, you know what I mean?
Well, it paid off.
It's in the bathroom at the mirror. But hey, I want to jump in because I do want to talk about multiple sclerosis. So my first question to you is about your initial diagnosis. I mean, how old were you? How did it present? And what were some of your initial symptoms?
Yeah, I was 20 years old when I was diagnosed. I was basically, I guess, having my second presentation of symptoms when I was diagnosed. The first time was about a year and a half prior. And I wasn't diagnosed with MS at the time. I think that there was nothing really cut and dry about why I was feeling certain symptoms. But when I was diagnosed, I was experiencing numbness, heaviness in my legs, particularly my right leg, and was dealing with some bladder incontinence. I think, those are things that you don't typically experience when you're a young, healthy woman. And I was diagnosed pretty quickly, which I know is not always the case for some people, but I was immediately given a lumbar puncture and MRIs, and it was very clear to the neurologist at the time that MS was what was happening with me. And I was not prepared for that news, as most people wouldn't be in their life.
Of course. So I just want to go back and put myself in your shoes. So you're in this huge spotlight, Sopranos super hit, and I read that you kept it a secret, so no one knew you had it. So how was that, being in the spotlight with having MS? And then why come out 15 years later?
Well, initially I felt like what the symptoms I was feeling, they went away. I felt like I could sort of cover it up or take care of it on my own. And I think the idea of sharing that news that I really hadn't quite understood what it meant to me quite yet. I wasn't ready to have the conversation with others. And also, quite frankly, I was afraid of being fired. I couldn't imagine anybody wanting to employ somebody that had, a rare neurological disease and have all the questions that come along with it and uncertainty. And so it felt like the right decision to keep it a secret. But unfortunately, or if, I can't go back and change things. I try not to live with regret, but my choice to keep it a secret for that long, really started to take its toll on my health rather than help me. And I think that harboring a secret for that long made me develop all these feelings of shame around it and guilt because I was lying a lot of the time to my employers. People would ask me, why does it look like you're limping? Or why do you need to sit down in between takes all the time? And I would always, I hurt myself exercising or this or that. And that was exhausting in of itself. And then it really started to take away from the experience that I had at work and my joy. And, I, at a certain point, I couldn't hide it anymore. And I was a mother at that time. My first son, Beau, was about 2.5. And I saw how capable I was still as a mother, albeit having a disability. And I couldn't imagine him getting to an age and me asking him to hold this secret for me. It felt really against everything I was trying to teach him about the world and his own acceptance of who he is and what makes him unique. And it was outside a very joyful time in my life where my husband and I were getting married. And I felt at that time, what better moment but now to just share what I've been going through, take this leap of faith that I'll still have a career or whatever this means. I was just ready to let go of all that shame, like I said, that I had built around this and the hiding and just kind of, I needed to step into accepting it for myself. And I knew that the only way to do that was to come public with it.
Oh, great answer.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
This week, the West Coast action heats up when the Rams meet the Seahawks in a huge divisional showdown. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. And don't miss the Broncos and Chiefs on Christmas night. It's Thursday Night Football, only on Prime Video. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
I think this is going to be a great segue. So you were quoted as forever changed by your son's health challenges and how a mother's intuition, along with your experiences living with MS, made you a better advocate for him. So can you elaborate on that? Having a son with this word that many people don't know, acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. Very few doctors can pronounce it, so elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, but before I get to that, I think what prepared me for what I experienced this summer with Beau is a lot of what I talk about in my collaboration with Novartis.
Okay.
So we developed this 3-step guide. It's available at reframingms.com and basically outlines a process for reflecting, reframing, and reaching out.
Okay.
I have had, like I said, 20 plus years of experience of living this disease. And one of the things that I've found through this process that we outline is my voice. Initially it was my voice for my own MS journey with my MS specialist, whether it be the treatment that I choose for me that feels right and that fits my life and my lifestyle. For me right now, and a lot of people with MS are always interested to know what treatment you're on. I take Kesimpta or ofatumumab. And I have to be responsible when speaking about a medication that my doctor says people with active hepatitis B cannot take Kesimpta. Also, there's serious side effects like life-threatening and fatal infections, injection reactions, lowered antibodies, and then common ones like headaches. And then obviously, if you're pregnant or planning to be, talk with your MS specialist. But, learning how to take that first step of reflecting, feeling my emotions, allowing myself to sit with them, really process them, understand them, and then reframe, okay, this is the reality. This is what's happening. Where do I pivot? How do I adjust? How do I keep move forward in my life with this information? And then reaching out, which is reaching out for help, which is really hard for people to do. And it's taken me, like I said, 20 years to figure this out. And this is my gift to those that are living with RMS or really with anything, because these are the 3 steps that anybody can use, I think, in their life when anything traumatic happens, because life will keep lifing no matter what we do, which is a perfect example of what happened to me and my family this summer. My son seemingly had a normal virus. At least that's what we were told by the pediatrician. He had high fevers. It was fluctuating. We treated it with Tylenol and Motrin and kind of let it ride out for a week. And then it wasn't quite getting better. And then mother's intuition kicked in and I didn't feel quite right about it. We went to an urgent care, thoroughly checked for pneumonia, sent home. Still didn't feel right the next day. Went back to the ER, did some blood work. Everything looked fine. They sent us home, still didn't feel right, went back the next day, more tests. They tested him for mono and other things like that. Everything else was coming back negative. And I can remember when we were leaving the ER for the 3rd time, he had mentioned the fact that he felt like he was having trouble being able to urinate. That was a big sign for me. But again, I was told by a doctor, if it persists, come back. I remember my feet not wanting to leave that room. I just felt very strongly like we shouldn't go. But at that point, I think my family was just exhausted from going in and out of the hospital, and we went home. And then the next day, he did lose the ability to urinate. It was very painful for him. And we were finally admitted to the ER. And then that led to 35 days in the hospital, probably the hardest and most difficult time of my life. But because of what I've been through and because of my ability to find my voice and understand that it mattered, especially in medical situations, even though you're dealing with a medical professional, your opinion matters just as much. This is my kid. I know him better than anybody. And I was able to really advocate for him in certain moments of trying to figure out his recovery, especially once he was physically getting a little bit better. He entered into a deep state of psychosis. And we couldn't figure out if it was due to the insomnia or due to being in the ICU for 15 days or was from the brain inflammation. And, I had to advocate for him of what I thought was better, take him off antipsychotics and let's try to focus more on sleep. And that ultimately led to a lot of his recovery. But yeah, I think being a woman that's lived with a neurological disorder for a long time, I was able to really help my kid out in that moment. So I've been grateful for MS for a lot of reasons, primarily the perspective that it's given me, but also in this situation, big time.
I love that story. So I'm going to switch gears to something a little more lighthearted than that, but that was a wonderful story.
Let's go lighthearted.
I wanted to talk about, besides many people that have MS that listen to me, sleep and multiple sclerosis go hand in hand. And I love hacks. I stole that word from my little daughter that uses that word. So do you, besides meds for your MS, do you have any special tips or tricks or hacks or diets that you recommend to people sometimes to make them feel a little bit better?
For MS specifically or just in general?
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you carte blanche. Do you want to do in general or for MS? Either or.
In general.
Okay, in general.
I sound so annoying when I say this, but water. Like water. Whenever I'm drinking more water, I'm feeling better. My skin looks better. I'm moving better. I can always tell when I am dehydrated. Like things just start to feel funkier than they should. So water. Also, I really detach from technology. Like 7:30 p.m., I'm done. If you text me past then, I'll answer you at 6 a.m., but I'm not looking at my phone. It's charging in another room. I really need to disconnect myself from any other responsibility. That's when I can sort of watch my show and put my little red light mask on and, kind of decompress from the day. I think we all can feel, we don't realize sometimes how stressed we feel when we're constantly being able to be reached all day in the palm of our hand. And so for me to kind of not have that near me and tempting me, it really allows me to relax. And I have found it's helped a lot with my sleep.
I love that. So projects coming up in 2025. I know you talked about the Novartis project, and we could go back to that, but I am super pumped on your podcast because I did a little research because I believe it's called the Messy Podcast. And we share something because I like to do my podcast on the fly. I want people to be themselves. Like if you're going to say a foul language word, I would let you because it's real, And can you elaborate on your podcast? Because it sounds cool.
So my podcast, Messy, is with my dear friend, Christina Applegate, who also happens to be an actress. Obviously, you definitely know her. If you don't, watch everything she's ever done. She's amazing. And she also lives with MS. This podcast came from our friendship and our leaning on each other and really being able to be honest and vulnerable in a way that we maybe felt like we couldn't with other people. I think we've realized that the more specific you get with your vulnerability, actually, the more universal it is. A lot of our listeners don't have MS, but find that through our openness and willing to share just what life is handing us in that moment, they're able to sort of hear it through their own filter and feel it through their own experience. And it's just been a wonderful exercise in the releasing the shame, releasing the stigma, and just understanding that we're all in this together. Life is hard. We're all dealt a lot of different hands, and being able to just own it and move forward with it and really try to figure out how best to continue to show up for ourselves and the people that we love despite our challenges has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. I love our podcast so much. I love our conversations. We have amazing guests. And really each episode is a standalone. They're really just, little snapshots of where we are at in our lives.
No, I clicked on it. I'm super jealous. You got like Will Ferrell on there. I'm like, whoa. And yes, I do know who Christina Applegate is. I'm a huge fan. Me and the family, we love her. So anyways, let me ask you a grateful question. So as the year's winding down, this is my holiday podcast. What is on on the top tier of what you're grateful for 2024?
My son's health and his recovery. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I love that. And do you have any little holiday plans this year? Are you doing something like going to cut down the tree like Charlie Brown or something like that?
Really not cutting down a tree. We have our fake one from Balsam Hill that's our tried and true every year. But we had a very large Thanksgiving. I hosted 16 people. I made a 25-pound turkey. It was very stressful. So I am looking forward to a very quiet Christmas. It's just my parents that are coming. And for us, our traditions are, there's this beautiful thing here in Austin where we live called the Trail of Lights. We take our boys to that every year. It's just this fun, they take over Zilker Park and set up this just huge walkway of just all these different light installations. It's amazing. And, for people with MS like me, things like that can feel really intimidating.
Of course.
They can feel, I know a lot of people can remove themselves from situations like that because they feel like they can't experience it the way they used to, or their body doesn't work. So I make accommodations. For me, I'll take like a wagon, like a big 4-wheel wagon that we can throw everybody's gear in, but I can lean on it for the long walk around the park. Or we're going to Disney World in late December, and When I walk through airports, I bring my 4-wheel suitcase. You know, these are the types of things in that 3-step guide that we talk about of like reframing your life and how to still participate in your favorite holiday traditions or anything that you're doing. You know, you don't have to cancel all your plans. You just have to reframe.
All right, so I am watching the clock because I know that your team's like looking at me. So I do want to, can I squeeze in? I got to squeeze in like a Sopranos question. Is that cool?
Sure, of course.
When I told my friends at the hospital, we love you. Here's the question.
Okay.
I'm so pumped. So I'm a fan personally, and the season finale, I got to tell you, it still to this day doesn't sit well with me. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. You know, here's my feelings. I wrote them down. I was a little frustrated. I was a little curious. I was a little disappointed. You're all in the diner. You're having trouble parking the car. You couldn't parallel park. I'm like, is someone going to take out, you know? And then it cuts to nothing. It's done. So what is your take on the finale? And you know, is there like a hidden scene, like an alternative ending that I don't know about? Can you share with me this?
Nothing anybody's missing. There's no secrets. I feel like David Chase kind of said like, yeah, he died. I think he said that. But I think that to see that happen just wouldn't have been right. To me, when I watched it, and you could feel the tension and you can feel the threat and you can feel the reality of what this family really existed through all the time. To me, it was just like, this is this people's life. This is the road he chose. These are the people that are going to be subjected to the repercussions of that. And whether his life ended then or in another moment, it was inevitable. So to me, it was just like, this family's way of existing was to live in blissful ignorance of what their reality was. But no matter what, that core, their family, that their love, like that's what got them through. And they were forever loyal to each other, those 4. And so I loved it. I'm sorry you were disappointed, but I would have loved to have a Meadow wedding. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
You know, Carmela would have had the greatest time planning that one. But I thought it was a perfect ending to a perfect experience.
No, I'm going to tell you that's on my Mount Rushmore of series. Just I'll end it right there. But I want to make sure I say one more thing because, like I said, I want to make sure the people who have MS, who have loved ones with MS, it's such a treat to have you here. A super treat. Anything you want to say just to their journeys? Everyone's on a different stage of life. You said so many interesting things. No people with MS are duplicates. Everyone has different symptoms, eye symptoms, bladder symptoms. Anything you just want to say as we're kind of getting closer to the end?
I mean, go to the reframingms.com. I think it can really help you sort of sort through your feelings, find your voice. You still have a say, you still have power. You can feel like things are very out of control, but there's a lot still that you can have within your control, including your attitude. And there's also you can go to treatmentdecisionguide.com. We co-created a decision guide with Novartis and other fellow MS patients. And it provides very detailed questions that people with MS can ask their MS specialist when it comes to picking a treatment, because I know that can be very overwhelming. So there's a lot of resources like that out there. There's a lot of communities. There's the Messy podcast. There's, you know, a lot of other people that are just like you that are thriving in their own way, but also take time to acknowledge how difficult it is, because I'll never say that it's not, but there's also still a lot possible.
Well, on that note, I'm going to say that it's almost time for my little goodbye. So I want to give you the big, I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to be on my podcast. You are truly a great advocate for MS. I'm going to also throw this in there. I didn't write it down. You sound like an awesome mom. And I'm a dad of 3. My middle kid has autism. So the things you were saying about your child and standing up for Bo, it really hit. And I do mean that. Now, I didn't write that down. And I really wish you and your family only the best, not just this holidays, but the holidays to come. Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Likewise. So nice to meet you.
And everyone, that is my gift to you for the Dr. Raj podcast. I hope you truly loved it. I did. And I'll see you next time on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.